Today, I'm doing a full mountain review of the beast in the east, known as Killington Ski Resort. This mountain is one of the biggest and most well-known in the country, but does that automatically make it a good ski resort for you? In this video, I go over 5 vital categories for any great ski resort, grading each from 0 to 20, then adding up all the scores at the end of the video to get a total grade out of 100, which will help you easily compare Killington to other mountains I've reviewed, and ultimately help you decide if visiting Killington Ski Resort is worth your time and money. Let's start by looking at the terrain offered at Killington. This ski resort has been nicknamed the Beast in the East, and rightly so, because of the ridiculous mountain size and skiable statistics. This ski resort includes 7 different mountain areas, totaling 1,977 skiable acres, 92 miles of ski and snowboard trails, and 3,050 feet of vertical drop. Not to mention its 2,013 total trails to ride, explore, and enjoy. Already, you can easily see how this ski resort is known as a mega mountain playground. Something to keep in mind though is even with all these impressive stats, Killington is still a great mountain for all ability levels. The 213 trails are divided up as having 17% for beginners, 43% for intermediates, and 40% for advanced skiers and snowboarders. So if you're looking to stick to a specific terrain difficulty, there's plenty of variety to choose from, and when looking at the map, you have a lot of options. But just do yourself a favor and park at the base where you plan to be riding the most. Although you can reach all the mountain areas except for Pico without driving, this mountain is so big it might take a while to actually get over there. Killington also has a longest run of 6 miles to explore from Killington Peak all the way down to the Skyship base. And there's 4 terrain park areas ranging from beginner trails for your first experience, all the way up to expert features including an 18-foot modified halfpipe. Ram's Head Mountain, located on the right side of the trail map, is going to be where you find the easier green and blue park trails. Pico also has a beginner park trail called the Triple Slope, and Snowdown Peak has access to 2 park trails called Full House and Mouse Round. Not to forget the several intermediate park trails near the Sky Peak, as well as the more expert park trails at Bear Mountain. So there's not just a lot of terrain, but also a lot of park trails at Killington too, which compared to other popular mountains on the East Coast, like Stowe, is a breath of fresh air to see so many different park trails at Killington. Also, a key aspect of Killington Ski Resort is their purposefully extended ski and snowboard season. This mountain boasts about having the longest season of the entire East Coast, which usually lasts from October or November all the way to May or June, depending on the weather, of course. The season at Killington can end up being another entire month or 2 of skiing and snowboarding compared to other mountains in the same area, and that's mainly because they focus on creating as much snow as possible, as soon as possible, and maintaining it throughout the season. Killington's snowmaking team is able to cover 45 acres of terrain with 12 inches of snow in optimal conditions in only 24 hours. Let that set in for a second. That is a lot of man-made snow in a short amount of time. Combine that with over 2,100 snow guns across its 600 acres and receiving 250 inches of average annual snowfall naturally, and you can easily see how this mountain can fill up their trails quickly and stay open much longer than you might have first assumed. The best snowfall months at this mountain are from January through March, with consistently having over 50 inches each month, so planning a trip during this time frame isn't a bad idea for some surprise powder days. Now, even with all their natural snowfall and excellent snowmaking capabilities, during the early season, which is from opening day to around mid-November, make sure you check their website for conditions info, because the hours of operation can vary slightly, as well as in its first few opening days, they may only offer terrain that you need to walk to. And walking to the slopes might not seem that fun, but it's still better than no riding at all. One of my favorite parts about Killington's terrain is all the expert options offered. Now, sometimes it can be a little too aggressive with how many mogul runs there are. I mean, it seemed like every time I went down a Black Diamond run, it turned out to be just moguled out. But it also does kind of force you to work on your mogul skills at the same time. Some other terrain highlights I want to point out is that there's amazing views of the surrounding areas, and some of the double Black Diamond slopes like Catwalk, which is the highest skiable run at Killington, requires you to hike up to it. And I'll link a video in the description if you want specifics about that specific trail, but hiking up to it does keep the crowds down and builds up the excitement as well. And don't be discouraged if you're not riding expert terrain yet. There's still countless intermediate and beginner trails to explore, as well as several glade areas. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to spend nearly as much time as I would have liked exploring all the glades here, but if you've been to a ski resort this massive, it's easy to ride for several days and still feel like there's so much more to explore. And that adds to the awesome experience at this mountain. Not to forget, Killington Ski Resort was voted #1 in après-ski for Vermont by On the Snow. Overall, the mountain terrain scores a perfect 20 out of 20 for literally having every type of rideable terrain and lots of it, allowing continued exploring, spreading out of the crowds, and overall having an awesome experience on the slopes. Next, let's look at the layout of Killington Ski Resort. Now, we all know that there are other ski resorts that might have great mountain statistics, but end up bottlenecking at one lift that creates unneeded congestion and longer lift lines. So how does Killington do on its layout? As mentioned previously, there are 7 unique mountain areas and they're accessed by 27 total lifts. These lifts are pretty evenly spread out to provide good access to all its mountain areas. The lifts include 3 gondolas, 1 6-seater, 12 quads, 4 triples, 3 doubles, and 4 surface lifts, which allows tons of riders to be on the mountain without ever really feeling overly congested. Now, something you'll quickly notice when looking at the trail map is there's good terrain variety at each of the 7 mountain areas. But in general, more beginner terrain is found at the Sunrise Mountain on the left side of the map, the Ram's Head Mountain on the right side of the map, as well as a lot of trails in between Sky Peak and the Skyship Base. Snowdown Mountain has mostly intermediate terrain with options to mix in park and Black Diamond slopes. Killington Peak offers a lot of intermediate and advanced slopes, and Bear Mountain offers mostly advanced terrain and advanced parks. And Pico offers a little bit of all terrain types, but only blue and black runs from its peak. And it's important to mention that Pico Mountain is the only peak that you have to drive to reach. All the other mountain areas are reachable by skiing and snowboarding, but Pico is only a short minute drive and it can really be nice with less people because you do have to drive or take a shuttle to get there. Overall, Killington's layout is really nice and efficient, with several lifts at each mountain base and more spread throughout the slopes. You can easily get anywhere on the mountain without too much delay, as long as you know where you're going, that is. The layout at Killington gets a 19 out of 20, which is a very solid score, and it seems a lot easier to navigate around this big mountain compared to others I've visited. Now let's take a look at the lodging offered at this mountain. Because like I mentioned earlier, there's so much mountain to explore, you might need several days to ride it all. Killington didn't just get its nickname Beast in the East from its large skiable footprint, but also because of its huge resort footprint. Once you turn off of I-4 and head toward the mountain, you might be surprised that there's still a few miles to travel before you get to the base of the slopes. And that's because there's a whole Killington village with restaurants, shops, bars, and tons of lodging. To point out a few popular lodging spots here, the Killington Grand Hotel and High Ridge condominiums are slopeside options. The Cascades and Birch Ridge Inn are about a mile from the slopes. The Inn at Long Trail and the Fall Line condominiums are a short walk from the slopes. And the Mountain Green Resort is close by as well, offering a free shuttle to the slopes. And keep in mind, those are just some of the lodging options here because listing out all the options and slopeside village lodges and hotels and private rentals would just take way too long. I will point out that because Killington is almost like its own city, depending on where you stay, you may have to drive to places around the resort, and this can be a little bit of a downer for some people, but it just comes with the nature of being such a big place. And if it's not ideal for you, just pick a lodging spot in the heart of the village or close to the things that you're planning to do. Killington gets an 18 out of 20 for having crazy amounts of lodging near its slopes. Also, it's important to look at the cost of this ski resort, more specifically the lift ticket prices. Now, bigger ski resorts typically are more expensive to ride at, and that is also the case at Killington. However, they make it a point to offer various discounts that we'll go over, and that if you plan in advance, you'll be able to save more on lift ticket prices. The general lift ticket costs range from $73 all the way up to $192, depending on which day you go and also which part of the season you plan to ride. Because Killington does everything in their power to open for skiing and snowboarding as early as possible, and keep their runs open as long as possible, they do accommodate for those time frames with cheaper lift ticket costs, because less terrain is usually open. But if you're wanting to experience the whole mountain, then planning your trip between December and April is both the best timing to ride all the terrain and run into the more expensive prices. But thankfully, there's still a silver lining. Killington offers lift ticket discounts for Vermont and New Hampshire residents on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sundays. Free lift tickets for military and veterans on Veterans Day and Memorial Day if the ski resort is already open. Daily discounts for active, retired, and honorably discharged military members, and discounted pass holder buddy tickets. Not to forget that this mountain is also on the Icon Pass, so you can plan ahead by buying one of Icon's several day options or season passes and ride at Killington with that option as well. So although riding a busy Saturday in peak season can get expensive, if you buy in advance or use one of the many discounted routes, riding at Killington may not end up being as expensive as you first thought. The costs here score 15 out of 20 because they offer so many discounted options for their lift tickets. Finally, I want to point out the unique parts about this ski resort that really help it stand out compared to others in the same region. If you haven't figured it out already, Killington is a massive ski resort. If there's a certain type of terrain you're looking to ride, you'll be able to find it here. And I know mega resorts get a bad reputation because of the crowds, but one of the good things about Killington is even when it's busier, it doesn't necessarily feel super crowded. This can be because of the many trail intersections utilizing tunnels to help avoid congestion, or because there's so many different mountain peaks to keep all the skiers and snowboarders spread out. Along with Killington's massive size, it also has the second highest vertical drop on the East Coast, only coming behind Whiteface in New York. So when you combine this ski resort being the biggest on the East Coast, having the second highest vertical drop, and being up there for one of the snowiest East Coast mountains, Killington is very well rounded and rightly called the Beast in the East, and it scores a 19 out of 20 for its uniqueness. And now, after looking over the 5 key aspects of this ski resort, Killington Mountain scores an overall rating of 91 out of 100, which is one of the highest grades I've given out so far. So what do you think of my rating? Do you think I forgot something in this review? What's your favorite part about Killington? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. And if you're curious on how other mountains in Vermont compared to Killington, then you'll need to check out this next ski resort review right here.